So apprentices, this is Unit 4, Professional Behaviour in the Creative Media Sector. So, as you can see, this is another Level 3 unit and credit value of 5. So, guided learning hours for this, so how many hours you're expected to put into it in order to get out the criteria that you want, or the correct criteria in your instance, is 30 hours of your time. So let's have a look at what you need to do. The aim of this unit is to prepare you for an understanding of the appropriate behaviours. So what's correct, what's expected, I suppose. What are the appropriate behaviours and conduct in the workplace? And this unit will also assess your understanding of what CPD is. And this is something that's really important, I think, in the creative media industry. So it's quite a useful unit. In order to pass the unit, you need to present evidence that covers the following. So, outcome 1 asks you to understand the appropriate conduct for a particular creative media workplace. So, let's have a look, shall we? 1.1, describe and then compare the cultures of different creative media workplaces. So for comparison, we need to do at least 2 here. So you may want to take, working at Amazon, working at Google, working for Snapchat, working for the BBC. Look at the cultures of these different workplaces. Now, Apple, Pixar, Google, their workplaces are quite well documented online with examples, documentaries, images, blogs from workers there. So you may want to look at a company you may want to one day work for, or a company whose approach, their products, their philosophy, their ideology you like. Compare different cultures. Maybe your company compared to Google, maybe working for Facebook compared to working for Sky TV. You tell me. Describe and then compare at least 2 different cultures of different creative media workplaces. So cultures basically means the values, the beliefs, the ideas, the approaches, the techniques, the day-to-day goings on within these workplaces. That's 1.1. For 1.2, asks you to describe examples of challenging behaviours. So challenging behaviours. Behaviours that are a little bit difficult, I suppose. Things that are perhaps confrontational. Things that maybe are upsetting, potentially. What are examples of behaviours like this? Think about your experiences. Think about things you've observed. Perhaps it's people being off sick. Perhaps it's people being not team players, it's fair to say. That is quite challenging. Perhaps it's people being rude or sexist or homophobic or passive-aggressive or mean or underhanded or not pulling their weight. Challenging behaviours and issues in the workplace. Issues such as people perhaps not being as supportive as perhaps they could be, maybe. Describe examples of this for me. For 1.3, I want you to explain the role of the key people to inform in relation to these examples here. So often this means this person here. So, feeding up the line, as it were. It's not your job to do everything. We've all got our role we need to carry out as part of a team in creative media industry, so we need to report things to our line managers. Explain the role of these people and how they help in these situations. For 1.4, explain the impact of different behaviours and conducts in the workplace. So if someone does any of the things that you've identified as being challenging, what's the impact of that on the other people in the team? So if someone behaves in this way and shows conduct that is unprofessional, what's the impact on the rest of the team? For outcome 2, it asks you to know how to plan and manage your workload. This is probably more important than being exceptionally talented or brilliant at any one particular thing. Knowing how to plan and, more importantly, how to manage a workload. So, for 2.1, it asks you to describe effective time management skills needed to plan a workload. So, what you need to do for this is you need to actually show me you understand, I suppose, what works, what's an effective use of time management, perhaps a plan, a workflow, using post-its maybe using something like Trello as a project management system, using a calendar perhaps, using team meetings, using perhaps one-to-ones with your line manager. What is the best way to effectively manage your time? You've probably encountered and tried and tested a few different approaches. What's the best way? What's effective time management skills that are needed to plan a workload working on the multiple projects that you are? Because you guys are students, plus you are, employees. So how do you manage your workload? Give examples of what works well and what doesn't work well potentially as well. For 2.2, describe how to specify and agree timescales. So this is important, being specific. How do you become specific and agree timescales? Is it perhaps a collaborative approach, or is it maybe something of a compromise? Who decides? Who agrees timescales? Who agrees the budget? Is it the line manager again? You tell me. Who agrees what resources are specified and agreed for a particular project? 2.3, explain how to construct a simple project plan. So beginning, middle and end, pre-production, production, post-production. What plan in terms of production schedule, a workflow, a calendar is useful for a project plan? Give me an example of you doing that on any project at any time ever. 2.4, explain the use of a contingency plan. So, contingency plan, also known as Plan B. When have you had that in your back pocket, just in case something went wrong? You're often going to need it. Things rarely go according to plan. 2.5, explain the importance of storing work, using version control, and observing file naming conventions. So, do you use the cloud? Do you use version control where you name things in particular ways? Do you have particular file naming conventions that you abide by? So what's your system, I suppose, at your workplace? Because without this, things get a bit messy. For outcome 3, understand the importance of continuous professional development. You need to show me you understand why it's important not to go stale, I suppose. Explain what is meant by CPD. So, continuing to refresh your skills, to maintain your employability, to keep interested. Above all else, I would argue. Explain to me that you understand the fact that it's continuous. You're constantly doing, you're constantly learning. Lifelong learning is something I am all for, and it's something I encourage in all of my apprentices that I work with. Explain what it means and what the purpose and meaning of continuous professional development is. You're constantly getting better, constantly evolving, constantly learning, so you can actually become the best version of yourself, I suppose. So create and justify a CPD, personal development plan. This is quite fun. You get to say the things you want to learn, things you want to do. What, do you want to go and do a degree? Do you want to do another apprenticeship? Do you want to do some online courses? What do you want to do? It's personalised. You tell me. What's your plan? So it may be something like between now and July 2017 to complete the BTEC units of my apprenticeship. And then it might be August 2017 to do a LinkedIn online course about learning how to use Illustrator to a professional level. Then it might be doing, for example, work placement on set for a video shoot by September 2017. Give me little landmarks, please, what you want to achieve for the next year or so. That would be really good. The last point is describe opportunities for training and development and tell me why that's relevant to you. So what CPD is available? Link it together. So your personal development plan will outline these opportunities, no doubt. Tell me what opportunities are there that you've seen. Work placements, shadowing people, perhaps going and doing a month overseas, working with someone else maybe. What opportunities are there? Why is this relevant? Explain, give examples, back it up, prove the relevance.